staff, the support staff, and everybody that touches this program has put in an amazing amount of work to get to the point where we get to finally go out and play a game against an opponent. It's really exciting, and I think our players are excited. I know I'm excited. I think, I got a chance last night to go speak to our band, which reminded me so much of why I love college football. It's just that enthusiasm and passion that these young people have, whether they're in the band or they're on our team. It just makes it an exhilarating experience for me. I missed it. I'm realizing every day how much I missed it. And we're excited to go out and face a very, very good Utah State team. One of the top offenses in the country, certainly one of the top teams in the country. They play solid defense. They're very well coached. Offensively, they like to go fast. They go at a high tempo. They spread the field well. With that type of offense, I think there's sometimes a misconception that they're throwing the ball all the time. They're not. They're very, very balanced. They run it well. They throw it well. On defense, they're aggressive. They come after you. They bring pressure. They have a lot of confidence in their ability to play their scheme and adjust, so they'll do some things sometimes that are not necessarily ordinary, and it can force you into some difficult decisions. You'll have some negative plays, but you got to be able to hang in there with them. I think their kicking game is outstanding as well, and we're going to have to play our best. And our objective is to go out there to Utah and compete every single play like it's the last play we'll ever play, like the score's 0-0. We talked about if you turn on the tape or you turn on the TV or you're sitting in the stands and you're not paying any attention to the scoreboard, we should look the same on every single play of the game, and that should be the way it is all season. So that's, one of our objectives. We have many objectives, but that's one of them. It's just to play with a passion and an energy and enthusiasm and an effort that people recognize. But it's going to be an amazing test for us. We're big underdogs. We should be at this point in time. Like I said, we're playing a team who's a top 25 team. This is a team that not a lot of people have had a lot of regard for at this point. But another one of our objectives is to go out and earn the respect of each other, the players, our students on this campus, our fans, and our opponents, and then the nation. And so we want to go play that way, and I believe we will. These kids they're locked in. They've had great practices. They've had great energy. They've had great focus. And now we get to go out there on Saturday and kick it off at 2:05 and go play. And they've earned the right to go play with a lot of confidence and a lot of energy. And they've earned the right to go out and have fun. So I'm excited about Saturday.
You talk about Bonner, what makes him so good?
Well, he's got a cannon for an arm. He can move to his right or left and throw it effectively. As a matter of fact, he's one of the better quarterbacks I've seen, certainly in college football, and maybe he's got that Elway-esque ability to move to his left and square his shoulders up and throw it down the field with accuracy, and that's an uncommon trait. He's also very smart, and so a lot of what they do is they'll go run past RPO, where they'll check, they'll look to the boundary, get a new call. He's really good at reading the safeties, reading the rotation, and understanding what he's supposed to give or when he's supposed to pull and throw. But the thing that has stood out the most to me is his ability to throw with accuracy on the run. I think it's really, really good. Very impressive.
For you, how do you like how the quarterback competition has played out over the last week or so?
I like the way it's played out really, since the start of spring. And then when we added Kale in the fall camp, I like the way it's played out. And what I like about it is that all four of those guys, they compete like crazy against each other. They want to be the starter so bad, and yet there's this spirit of cooperation, and they help each other in meetings. They help each other on the field. They're a close group. I think Nick has just done an amazing job of taking four really great competitors and creating a bond amongst them where they're able to push each other and yet support each other, and that's rare.
What did you see out of Jacob Flynn before you offered the scholarship?
Jacob?
Yeah.
He's a consistent player. He works hard every day. He's dependable as a pass catcher. He's not afraid of taking a hit after he catches it. He's a hard worker with a great attitude. He's a player that the other players respect, they cheer for, they pull for. If you haven't seen the video when we announced that he and John got the scholarships, it was just, I got goosebumps. I get goosebumps every time I watch it because it was just this pure joy. And I've never even said they got a scholarship. All I said is, y'all know what I'm about to say, but I never said it. So, but the great thing is I didn't have to. So with both of those guys, the way they've come out every single day, and fought for it. And, I was a walk-on at University of Washington and earned a scholarship my freshman year. And so I just have a deep appreciation for guys that are in that situation. And it was really, really cool to see the way their teammates reacted.
You got a ton of reps today. What kind of role do you see in
I think that's to be determined as the game goes along. It depends on how many plays we get. It depends on what plays we're calling. We have to rotate our receivers through so that they stay fresh the whole game. But he's certainly part of the plan. But his amount of reps will be determined by the flow of the game and what we're doing offensively, how we're flowing offensively, what the situations are.
You mentioned rotating players. Is altitude a consideration in terms of?
It's just, we're going to the high desert. We're just going to the desert, It's not something we talk about. It's a variable that we can't control, so we don't address it.
Jim, have you made some adjustments to the coaching staff responsibilities in Lou's absence, and can you just address the future of the coordinator position?
Well, there is no coordinator right now. It's a collaborative effort between myself and Dalton and Sreaky and Kenny, and then the analysts that are in the room. It's been an amazing work environment. I have so much faith, so much confidence, so much trust in Sreaky and Dalton and Kenny McClendon. They are three outstanding young coaches. And they're young, and they have a lot to learn, but they learn fast. They relate so well to the players. As we went through camp, when we were down at coach, those guys took turns calling the defenses and on move the ball situations, which were unscripted. So I think it helped a guy like Kenny, who's a defensive line coach, get a feel for coverage. I think it helped a guy like Dalton, who's a defensive back coach, get a feel for what we want to do up front. And so I think it's helped us all. But it'll be very collaborative. At the end of the day, I'll call the defense, but I won't call it without input from them on every single play. So, if you ever get on our headphones, it would be complete chaos. But we all understand the verbiage we're using, and I'll ask them, hey, what do you like? What do you want here? What are you guys thinking? How are we feeling? And it's just been, it's been unbelievable the way that they've stepped up. I'm so impressed with them. I guess because I'm old at, double their age, I can say proud. But I'm very fortunate they're on our staff. They are really good men, really good men.
Is that the setup you envision having throughout the season?
At this point, I think that I can't really say what's going to happen down the line. But for this week, that's the setup. So, they're like today, when we went 2 minutes, Sreaky called it. There was periods in the practice where Dalton called it. We could get in the game, and we're still talking through these things where, Kenny's calling first down and Dalton calls third down, and I'm just monitoring it. So, we're working through that as we go through the week. We have a feeling for what we want to do. As I said, right now I'd say if you want to blame anyone for a crappy call, make sure you blame me. Okay, it is me, it's not them. But it's a great collaboration right now. And like I said, these guys are outstanding. They're the best young coaches I've ever been around. They're unbelievable, and they're great people. Players love them, and they love the players.
Coach, do you think, obviously the kids want to make a great first impression, and it's a new game. Do you think you almost have to say something to them about channeling that enthusiasm and staying in their lanes?
I think that's a really good point. Yeah, I do. And so, obviously they're motivated to win. And they're going to be excited to go out and play and wound up. And one thing we've talked a lot about this week and last week is adversity and handling adversity. Because sometimes when you get so amped up, if something bad happens early, it can take all the air out of your sails. And so we've talked about how we're going to handle adversity. We've talked about how we're going to handle success as well. And I think by kickoff, they'll be in a very good place emotionally. And they'll be in that place because they've done the work. They've prepared. They're ready to go. And now they just get to go out and perform, which is what they love to do. Play football against an opponent in a live setting in front of fans, on TV, where it matters. And they're competitors, and that's where they excel.
Can you just talk about the philosophy of going with such a young coaching staff? I mean, did you just want some energy, or did you see some bright minds? What went into that?
I don't know that there was a philosophy. I'll tell you the way it transpired is we got hired, and immediately Pat Collins and I started to go to work on researching coaches, that would fit what we want to become, both structurally on the field and culturally off the field. And we went through hundreds and hundreds of names, and Pat and I would stay until all hours of the night just talking about our staff and talking about different people and researching, and Pat would call people that he knew when we were talking about a guy, and I'd call people that I knew, and we'd get close to a decision, and then we'd step back and we'd reevaluate it. And so there wasn't necessarily a philosophy of going young. It was just going with the men that we thought would best fit what we want to be here. And, I believe that between us and the way we work together, we got it right. We got it right. These are really, really good coaches on both sides of the ball. I talked about Kenny, and I talked about Sriki, and I talked about Dalton. But you can look at the offensive side of the ball, and you got Nick Charlton, who's a young guy. And he's been a head coach. I think he was the youngest head coach in Division I. And so having a guy like that gives you great confidence. But he wasn't, we didn't have, Pat and I didn't have like a line of, this is our order. It was just, we just kept massaging it and massaging it and massaging it. How do you feel? How do you feel? And then we never jumped to a conclusion. EJ is young. John Marinelli is young. Gordy Samus is young. But they just all have really good football minds. They're all dedicated to being professionals in this sport, being the best they can be. And what I'm so impressed about with the staff we've got here right now is their dedication to the players is off the charts.
Jim, you talked about the players' emotions. What about you? This is, you've been managing this thing since, November, and it's your first time on the sideline in 5 years. Who's managing you and your expectations and emotions?
I have had butterflies for about 2 weeks now. I keep wanting to wake up and have them gone, but for some reason they're not gone. I'd be lying if I didn't tell you I was a little bit nervous. I haven't been in this situation for a few years. But it's like, it's a cliche, but it's like riding a bike. Once it gets going, you just fall back into it. And it's the only thing I've really ever done in my life professionally. So even stepping away from it for a few years, I stayed connected. I was at ESPN. I was watching about 100 games a weekend. But I'm excited to get back out on the field, get back out on the sidelines. I'm excited to watch our players have success. I'm excited to help them when we're struggling a little bit. That's what I love doing. I'm excited about managing a game and making decisions that impact the outcome of the game. But most important is, I'm just excited to be there to support our players. Game day for me as a head coach is all about just being a dependable guy they can count on, not a guy that yells and screams at them. I don't like that. I think if you're going to be really demanding, it happens on the practice field. If you're going to be loud, it happens on the practice field. On game day, it's about, they got to be able to look to the sideline and go, that guy, he's got us. And that's what I try to project. But yeah, I'm a little nervous, yeah. But I think when we run out there and the ball's kicked off, whether we're receiving or kicking off, I think I'll be excited because it's what I love to do.
How's the receiver room stepped up in this last week in Cam's absence?
They really stepped up. Cam missed a little bit early in camp, as you guys know. And so I think they just assumed, the mentality of next man up. They miss Cam. Cam's a leader on this football team. He still has a presence, but he can't go out and play. So other guys are playing, and they're raising, they're elevating their game. I don't want to sound cold-hearted, but I think with players is, when they get their opportunity, you can't spend a whole lot of time feeling sorry for someone or going, hey, I got to step up. You really want players on your team that never think, I've got to step up because of this. They say, I got to step up because I like to step up, because I want to be my best. And so I always struggle with those questions when, how have they stepped up? Well, hell, we want guys in our organization, in our program, that they step up because it comes from inside. And that's kind of what I feel with those guys. But, yeah, they feel for them, and they want to go out and perform well.
One of those guys we're going to talk to is Keelan Marion. He seems to be a competitor. How would you describe him as a football player?
I think he's a really, really fine competitor. I think he's a really, really fine football player. What's impressed me so much this camp is his consistency, not only in his performance, but in his demeanor. I was around him for 3 games last year, observing, and there were some times when there was a little up and down. Not a lot, but a little bit. It was something that I wanted to be aware of. We talked about just, being steady and being consistent, and that's what I've seen out of him. And I think that has helped his performance because he's focusing on what he can control, which is his assignment, his job, making plays. And so I really have been impressed with him. And, I hope he has the kind of year I think he set himself up to have.
Jim, how about your experience so far with Jackson Mitchell? Just what you could share about him as a person and as a player, what he means to his team.
Well, you know what? So I've been so fortunate in my career. I mean, I've been around some of the great linebackers that have ever played the game. That's not an overstatement. And, I can't compare Jackson to those guys in terms of being players because I haven't been on the sidelines yet as the head coach when he's playing a game. But in terms of the way a guy prepares and the level of professionalism that he brings to the game, he's like those great ones. I mean, he gets it. He practices hard. He never takes a play off. He studies film. He knows his assignments. He's a leader without being a loud guy. So when he does speak, his voice carries weight. I think if he continues developing, he's going to be an outstanding college football. He already is an outstanding college football player, in my opinion. But he has all those attributes that I've seen in the great ones that I've been able to be around.
Where has Taekwon made the biggest strides in the last week or so? I mean, at the scrimmage, you were obviously displeased with the overall performance of the quarterbacks. Where's he come?
It's interesting because that's why it's so hard when you come off the field to answer a question if you were disappointed or encouraged. Because sometimes you see things differently when you watch the film. So it wasn't exactly what I had messaged to you guys after the scrimmage. It was better than I thought. But to your question, a sense of calm with he and Zion and Kale and Tyler. They feel more comfortable in the offense. There's a lot more poise. Under pressure, they're reacting calmly. I've seen his deep ball, which is really a good deep ball, become a little more accurate. I've seen him be able to adjust, taking some mustard off the throw and putting it on it when he needs to. And really just his overall command of the offense. And that's to be expected as he works. Now, the thing about our quarterback room is, we've got 4 really good players that haven't played a lot. They haven't taken a lot of snaps in the game. So, there's going to be most likely some growing pains. That we've got to live with, but we've also got to manage by putting them in the right calls and putting them in the right situations so that they can experience success and not put them in situations where we're asking them to do something that they don't feel comfortable doing. And, I talked about Nick Charlton already, but Nick he's just outstanding at that. He's got a real good grasp of those guys because he's with them so often.
Jim, I know you've been asked about Jacob already. I apologize for asking again, but what's the impact on program building when people see someone rewarded the way he was rewarded? Particularly other high school kids in Connecticut too see that. What do you feel like how important is that in program building to reward people like that?
I think it's very important. I do. I think it's critically important. Those guys have worked for it, and when you're looking for walk-ons that are standing out, it's not just about the performance on the field, it's about the way the players react to them. And I think I don't think you're in here when we talked about the video, Don, but that video just showed the raw joy that our players had when those guys were awarded scholarships. And so to me that speaks to the players that were awarded the scholarship and the respect that they earned from their teammates because they were cheering for them. And I think it's really important. You know, I was a walk-on myself. I told these guys if they walked in, I was a walk-on. When I was awarded a scholarship, just what it meant to me, you know, to feel a little bit validated. And I think it gives everyone hope. You know, I think it gives every walk-on on your team hope that if they work hard, if they have a great attitude, if they just stick with it when it gets really hard, because it is not easy being a walk-on. And we treat everyone, they've got the same locker. I mean, everything's the same, but emotionally, you know, man, these other guys, they've got a scholarship and I'm a walk-on, and I think that's hard. So when you reward them, I think it uplifts the whole team.
He said that one of the coaches last spring told him to stop acting like a walk-on.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if you saw a change maybe in his body language or in his demeanor maybe after that.
Not that I noticed, but I think that's really good advice for any walk-on. You know, I think sometimes, I know for myself, there was times when I had the old woe is me attitude. You know, I'm down there with the scout team, I'm getting beat up, you know, nobody's talking to me, none of the coaches are acknowledging me. It was awful. So, you know, we've tried not to let those things creep into our culture with the guys that aren't on scholarship. But I think that's good advice, man, for everyone, you know. Just act like a UConn football player, Connecticut football player. Don't act like you're a walk-on, and hey, don't act like you're a scholarship player. Just work at it. That's what we're trying to do.